The 2000s were a pretty peculiar decade. As you can imagine, the NHL had its fair share of high-profile players who went #1 overall in the draft. Some of them went on to have blissful careers, while others didn't exactly live up to the hype. Let's take a trip down memory lane to see how the #1 draft picks in the 2000s performed. Rick DiPietro, 2000.
With much anticipation, hope, and excitement, the New York Islanders are picking Rick DiPietro.
It's pretty rare to see a goalie picked #1.
It's a fantastic honor. It's something that I never could have imagined really happening.
But in 2000, the New York Islanders decided to go against the grain, drafting DiPietro out of Boston University. He went on to play 318 total games for the Islanders, but he never really lived up to the hype, to be honest. To make things worse, the Islanders retained DiPietro in 2006, signing him to a gargantuan 15-year contract worth almost $70 million. But due to his playing style, injuries, and the Islanders' struggles, he never met expectations. The team eventually bought him out during the 2013 offseason, and that was it. Ilya Kovalchuk, 2001.
The Atlanta Thrashers are pleased to select from the Russian Division I Spartak Moscow, Ilya Kovalchuk.
Kovalchuk made NHL history in 2001 when the Atlanta Thrashers drafted him #1, becoming the first Russian-born player to achieve the feat. His rookie season was pretty decent, with Kovalchuk hitting 51 points in 65 games. Kovalchuk continued getting better with time, although he and the Thrashers never quite reached the pinnacle. And by 2010, he joined the New Jersey Devils with a 15-year deal worth $100 million. But to everyone's surprise, he retired from the NHL just 3 years into his huge contract. He apparently went back to play in Russia, where he spent a few years before coming back to the NHL in 2018 with the LA Kings. At this point, the man was kind of washed, and he bounced around the league a few times as his performance continued to decline. Rick Nash, 2002.
With the #1 selection in the draft, we select from the London Knights, Rick Nash.
Heading into the 2002 draft, Rick Nash was the consensus #1 pick. The dude was so covered that the Columbus Blue Jackets traded assets with the Florida Panthers just to get the rights to sign him. And on the day, the Blue Jackets got their wish. The moment he stepped into the NHL, Nash made an immediate impact. He scored on his debut, becoming the first rookie since Eric Lindros to do so. He made the All-Rookie team, and throughout his time with the Blue Jackets, he helped define the team's identity with his consistent play and impressive goal-scoring ability. With the team still struggling for the most part, Nash decided it was time for him to move in 2010. He was traded to the New York Rangers, and then to the Boston Bruins later on in his career. But the impact of injuries was just too much for him, and he eventually retired in 2019. Throughout his career, Nash played 1,060 games and scored 437 goals. He's also widely regarded as the Blue Jackets' greatest player. Marc-Andre Fleury, 2003.
We'd like to select Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury.
While the first goalie we discussed had a pretty mediocre career, Marc-Andre Fleury was quite the opposite. Picked by the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2003, Fleury's had a blissful career that has so far spanned 20 seasons. He set himself as one of the NHL's premier goaltenders, and his shot-stopping ability is the stuff of legend. As of the 2023-24 season, Fleury has so far won 531 games and lost about 315, with a goals against average of 2.58 and a save percentage of .913. He's easily surpassed Hall of Famers like Martin Brodeur and Terry Sawchuk, and is expected to be a lock for the Hall of Fame when he retires too. Alexander Ovechkin, 2004.
2004 NHL entry draft, Washington Capitals are pleased to select Alexander Ovechkin.
Not many of the #1 picks really live up to the hype around them. But for Ovechkin, let's just say the case has been different. Drafted by the Capitals in 2004, Ovechkin set the NHL on fire in his rookie season with a mind-boggling 52 goals. And from then on, it's been one parade of excellence after another. Despite limiting factors like age, lockouts, and even a few bouts with injuries here and there, Ovechkin has continued to produce incredible numbers in moments that have defined the NHL over the past 18 seasons. Throughout his career, Ovechkin has only failed to score 40 goals a season twice, the 2015 season and the 2020 season, the latter of which was shortened because of COVID. At this point, Ovechkin's resume already speaks for itself. He's won a Stanley Cup, the Conn Smythe Trophy, the Prince of Wales Trophy, 7 Richards Trophies, several Hart Trophies, 8 Karmelov trophies, and played in the Olympics, NHL All-Star Games, and World Championships. And at this point, the only thing left for him to achieve is breaking Wayne Gretzky's record for most goals in hockey history. Gretzky currently stands at 894 goals, while Ovechkin sits at 827. Considering the fact that he's 37, some believe that he might not necessarily be able to climb that peak. But if there is one thing that Ovechkin has consistently done throughout his career, it's prove his doubters wrong. And even as his career has dragged on, this man has kept getting better and better. Watch out, Gretzky! Before we continue, remember to give this video a like, would you? We need every bit of support we can get as we create these videos, and your help will go a long way for sure. So drop a like, leave a comment, and share our content with as many people as you can. Moving on to 2005, we have Sidney Crosby.
Our city and our fans worldwide, Pittsburgh Penguins select from Rimouski, the Quebec Major Junior League, Sidney Crosby.
Speaking of players who have unassailable statuses as NHL legends, we have Sidney Crosby as the #1 pick in the 2005 draft. Taken by the Penguins in 2005, Crosby has pretty much led the team all his career. For the 18th consecutive season, Crosby has averaged over a point per game for the Penguins. He also led the Penguins to 3 Stanley Cup victories in 2006, 2016, and 2017. I mean, even Ovechkin hasn't been able to manage that. Like Ovechkin, Crosby has maintained his career with the Penguins, and he's undoubtedly become their greatest player ever. He's not yet hit the milestone for most goals in Penguins history, but he sure is getting pretty close. And despite already being pretty deep into his late 30s, this man isn't showing any signs of slowing down. Erik Johnson, 2006.
St. Louis Blues select from U.S. National Team Development Program, defenseman Erik Johnson.
Picked by the St. Louis Blues in the 2006 draft, Johnson sadly hasn't quite lived up to the billing. He had 5 seasons with the Blues that were pretty much just alright, before they finally got fed up and traded him to the Colorado Avalanche in 2011. Despite the many challenges facing the team, Johnson has remained loyal to them. Even when it was pretty obvious that the Avalanche weren't handing the keys to the franchise to him, Johnson remained patient and slotted nicely into his position as a role player, not necessarily the main guy. To be fair, it's kind of paid off. Johnson helped the Avalanche clinch their first Stanley Cup since 2001 and 2022, and he also helped Team USA make progress on the international stage. All in all, Johnson has proven to be the ultimate team guy, and you can't necessarily fault him for that. Patrick Kane, 2007.
We proudly select from the London Knights, the Ontario Hockey League, Patrick Kane.
With Patrick Kane, we're back to #1 draft picks doing impressive things on the NHL stage. Kane is widely regarded as one of the greatest American players in the league, and his career has blossomed ever since he was drafted by the Blackhawks in 2007. Kane had a successful stint with the Blackhawks, helping the team clinch 3 Stanley Cups while consistently being one of their best players. He solidified his legendary status in Chicago before being traded to the New York Rangers in 2023. At the moment, Kane stands as an unrestricted free agent and is dealing with some injury challenges, but we shouldn't be surprised to see him back in the league soon enough. His stacked resume includes having at least 1 point per game across over 1,000 regular season games. His .97 point per game average is also one of the highest in the history of the league. Steven Stamkos, 2008.
From the Sarnia Sting, Steven Stamkos.
The 2008 draft class will be remembered as one of the most stacked, and Steven Stamkos easily stands out amongst the many impressive talents here. Picked by the Tampa Bay Lightning, Stamkos has played a pivotal part in making the team into the juggernaut it is today. From amassing an impressive 37 points in 46 games in his rookie season, Stamkos has continued to dominate across his career, putting up one impressive performance after another. He is a part of an elite group of players who have notched 60 goals in a single season since 2000, and his leadership skills have been put on full display as he captained the Lightning to back-to-back Stanley Cup victories in 2020 and 2021. Stamkos is currently the Lightning's all-time leader in goals with 515, and he also leads the franchise in points, hat tricks, and points per share. That's not a small feat for sure. John Tavares, 2009.
And with the first overall pick, the New York Islanders select John Tavares.
Also leading a stacked draft class, John Tavares was picked first overall in 2009 by the Islanders. Tavares led NHL rookies in scoring for much of his first season. Although he ended second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Matt Duchene, still his first season was definitely not a slouch. Tavares continued with a set of impressive seasons, even rising as high as becoming the Islanders' captain in 2013. They parted ways with him in 2018 as he joined his hometown team, the Maple Leafs. So far, Tavares has blossomed with the Maple Leafs. He currently serves as their captain, and he's been productive in both the regular season and in the playoffs. And as the Maple Leafs continue to look more and more like Stanley Cup contenders, this might be Tavares' season to shine.